Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at some spicy battles in the Open Ultra League featuring my newly built level 50 XL Whimsicott. Whimsicott is a grass and fairy type Pokemon with the moveset of Fairy Wind, Grass Knot, and Moonblast. Even though Whimsicott doesn't even get to 2300 CP at level 50, I'm still going to be running it because it is a terrific core breaker to the Shadow Dragonite plus Water Core that I was seeing everywhere in the Open Ultra League last rotation. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's check out level 50 Whimsicott in action in the Open Ultra League. Hopping to the first match, and our target has been acquired. Whimsicott into Shadow Dragonite. Opponent save switches into a Tapu Fini, and they are completely core broken by the Whimsicott. Whimsicott firing off the Grass Knot. Opponent will commit a shield. I'm going to bank a little bit of energy, and then I'm going to send in the Registeel. My entire team does very, very well into Tapu Fini. They're going to fire off the Surf. That does nothing into the Registeel, and now I can basically just use Registeel as a gigantic damage sponge, soaking charge move after charge move in this matchup. I'm going for the Zap Cannon here. Zap Cannon will hit for massive damage onto the Tapu Fini. It will not be enough to KO, however. They're going to make it to the Surf. I don't really want to give Dragonite a ton of farm, so I will actually let them get some Water Gun damage on me, but unfortunately, I accidentally let them get a bit too much Water Gun damage, so I'm only able to make it to a Focus Blast. Either way, the opponent's not going to be shielding this, as they know they're going to have to deal with a Whimsicott. I send in the Whimsicott. In the back, it's Golisopod. I can send in the Heliolisk, and the opponent concedes the match. Moving into the next match, suiting Whimsicott into Steelix. Ultra League's least favorite Pokemon is absolutely walled. Dragon Tail and Breaking Swipe double resisted. Earthquake is single resisted. They're going to fire off the Breaking Swipe, and I'm going to return fire with the Grass Knot. This is debuffed, and it's coming from a 2200 CP Pokemon, and Steelix is extremely tanky, so that doesn't do a massive amount of damage, but I am able to get to these Grass Knots very quickly. Grass Knot is going to get the Steelix below half health. Steelix farming up a ton of energy. Are they potentially going to go for the single resisted Earthquake? If they do, I'm going to save switch into the Registeel, because the fact that they're staying in here, they're very clearly weak to the Whimsicott in the back, and there we see it. We're able to bait out the Virizion with the Registeel save switch. This not only frees up Heliolisk for later in the game, but since I have a pretty nice energy lead here, I should be able to threaten a double Focus Blast KO unless they throw 3 Sacred Swords. They continue to farm. They're going for Sacred Sword number 2. This does not put me into farm down range. I'm going to be able to withstand the double kicks, and unless they throw their energy, which they do not, I'm going to be able to make it to the Focus Blast and force a shield. They leave with energy, but I have a move on the Whimsicott, so I'm going for the Moonblast right away. Opponent doesn't go for the CMP. Instead, they go for the extra. They're actually going to shield up. They send in the Steelix, and Steelix is firing off the Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe, of course, going to do absolutely nothing. This is a fairy type Pokemon, and I'm firing off the Grass Knot. I need to get rid of the Steelix. I still have a 2 shield advantage, and I am barely able to outpace thanks to that lightning fast energy generation from Fairy Wind. Grass Knot will get the KO. What is that final Pokemon in the back? I am debuffed and very low, so I need to switch out. It's a Golisopod in the back, and I should be in a great spot here. I just no-shield the Liquidation because I need to save shields for the Sacred Swords. Opponent baits with an Aerial Ace, and now they send in Virizion. Oh my goodness, extremely unfortunate scenes for the opponent. This Virizion, as I mentioned, has so much energy, but I have saved my shields for this moment. They're throwing back-to-back. This Resisted Volt Switch will be enough to KO the Virizion, and then I leave with energy to threaten Golisopod. I'm going for the back-to-back Breaking Swipes here. My opponent was throwing a lot of Breaking Swipes with the Steelix, so now it's my turn. I'm firing off Breaking Swipe after Breaking Swipe, getting Golisopod low. I switch into the Whimsicott, and Fairy Wind down for the win. We see a core breaker on the lead in the next match, Whimsicott into Trevenant. Trevenant is a problem for the Whimsicott and the Regi. I go for a Shadow Ball catch onto the Heliolisk, but my opponent shows great patience holding onto their energy, and now they go for a Seed Bomb. My opponent is now going to send in a Shadow Swampert. Swampert firing off the Hydro Cannon. I will commit the shield, and I'm looking to farm up. I'm farming up, and I'm going for the Breaking Swipe, and that's not a CMP tie. This means I should be able to throw the Breaking Swipe, get the shield, and go for the Grass Knot right away. Do they respect the damage? They do not. Swampert gets one shot, and just like that, Heliolisk has taken away switch advantage. Opponent sends back in the Trevenant, and that's perfect for me. If they try and go for a farm down, I can heavily debuff them with Breaking Swipes. Breaking Swipe will connect onto the Trevenant. Trevenant looking for the farm down, but Heliolisk will not be denied. This has been a tough match so far, with the Whimsicott getting aligned onto the Trevenant. They switch when I switch. Shadow Charizard into Registeel. I really need the debuff here, as Shadow Blast Burn is no joke. I commit the shield, and I'm going for the Zap Cannon. This is a 66% chance that I will lower their attack. Zap Cannon gets the shield and gets the attack debuff, and with that, that should be a win. As this is the Ultra League. In the Great League, I'd still be in trouble, but in the Ultra League, Registeel is so much tankier, able to withstand that debuffed Blast Burn, and Zap Cannon will get the KO onto the Charizard. Back in comes Trevenant. Trevenant is going to be firing off the charge move here. It's the Seed Bomb. I can switch into the Whimsicott and go for the snipe with the Moonblast. So despite the core breaker on the lead, Whimsicott still able to take the win. Whimsicott sees the dream lead in the next match as it leads into yet another Dragonite. You absolutely love to see it. Opponent is staying in this matchup, so it looks like they are core broken by the Whimsicott. Again, the Dragonite teams are just absolutely torn to shreds by Whimsicott. Opponent commits the shield. They're farming up a ton of energy. On the off chance they are an absolute Giga Chad running Hurricane, I will respect it with a shield. It is just going to be the superpower, and they're firing off another superpower. This is a debuffed resisted move. I'm able to tank that no problem. Opponent sends in Registeel, and I'm going to bring in my own. This team is extremely weak to opposing Registeels. I mean, it also just gets completely soloed by Nidoqueen. Fortunately, I did not see a Nidoqueen in these battles, but it would have been really funny if I did, so that way I could just have footage of me getting fully 1v3'd by a Nidoqueen. They Focus Blast, I Focus Blast. With the energy lead they have, they're going to outpace here. They're going to get the KO, but that's kind of fine. I can send in Heliolisk. I'm going to go for a one shield farm and just go for a massive amount of energy. I don't think I can quite farm down, so I can just throw like 3-volt switches here. Opponent switches in the Dragonite aggressively, and Dragonite is just getting KO'd by a Breaking Swipe. Goodbye, Dragonite. What do they have in the back? Opponent, they're thinking about it. They are waiting the timer. They send back in the Registeel. I'm going for a Breaking Swipe, and watch this play. I go for the undercharge Breaking Swipe, send in the Whimsicott, Fairy Wind down, anticipating the Water type in the back, and there it is. Hello, Jellicent. Jellicent, massive damage from that super effective Grass Knot. Whimsicott going for Grass Knot number 2. This will be forcing the shield. Jellicent is going to be forced to throw energy, as I would have made a third Grass Knot. Jellicent Surf will get the KO, but I can just send in Heliolisk, make it to the Grass Knot. Grass Knot will be massive overkill, and that is a good game. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Whimsicott into Trevenant. Again, this is a very tough lead for this team. I farm up, I switch into the Heliolisk, and I'm able to catch the Shadow Ball. Let's go. Opponent farming back up with the Trevenant. They're going to bank a Seed Bomb, and in comes Steelix. Steelix, you can even see Heliolisk asking, why? Why is this here? Oh, that was perfectly timed. Oh my goodness. But Steelix has entered the field. Steelix, no one's idea of a fun battle, as we're now unfortunately going to get farmed all the way down. I'm making it to one final Grass Knot here. That is going to get them quite low. Honestly, the Grass Knots put in a lot of work against the Steelix. Steelix firing off the charge move here. They go for the Earthquake. Again, that is going to be resisted, and now my opponent will go for the Breaking Swipe. I'm actually going to switch into the Registeel here. I'm hoping I can get a lock-on farm down, but the Steelix hangs on. Oh man, Steelix, you can't even see the HP there as they make the last second charge move. But wait, they are actually core broken because they have a Tapu Fini. Their Tapu Fini has nowhere to run versus this team. I go for the Zap Cannon. Unfortunately, I do not get the debuff. They're going to be firing off their charge move here. It is going to be the Surf, and I'm able to tank that no problem. I continue to farm with the Registeel. I'm going for the Zap Cannon, just looking to get rid of the Tapu Fini. My opponent still has the 1 HP Steelix available for a catch, and they have the Trevenant. And Trevenant had a Seed Bomb banked, so they have so much energy on this Trevenant. At this point, I don't really see a win con. I guess maybe if they shield a Zap Cannon, but at this elo, it's very unlikely that my opponent is going to do that. They're just going to let this through. I continue to farm with the Ready Steel, basically just forcing them to throw energy. Seed Bomb shouldn't KO here. They go for the Seed Bomb, and now we just have to switch and start spamming out Grass Knots. Grass Knot into the Trevenant is going to get the first of their many shields, but Trevenant, wait, they try and go for a catch. Maybe this is a loose con. I still think they're going to outpace here, but I'm going to try. They're going to fire off the Seed Bomb. Whimsicott committing the final shield. I'm at the back-to-back Grass Knots. They have to be at a move here if they want to win this game. Grass Knot gets the shield, and they're at the move. It ends up being a CMP tie. And despite a terrible lead and swap, we come so close, but we cannot take the win. Moving into the next match, leading Whimsicott into Cresselia. Now, this is a matchup where Whimsicott is unfortunately not going to win just due to the fact that Whimsicott has a massive bulk disadvantage. I'm going to go for a Moonblast catch onto my Ready Steel. Opponent shows great patience, holding on to their energy, and they send in Virizion. Again, this is kind of what I'm hoping for, is to bait out the Virizion, because Virizion can't do anything against XL Whimsicott. They're going to be firing off Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword is going to connect. They can fire off another Sacred Sword, but I'm able to withstand this damage no problem. My opponent is at the back-to-back moves here, and they're going to have to throw back-to-back to deny the Focus Blast. So that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to fire off the move. Sacred Sword will get the KO. And now I can send back in the Whimsicott. I'm over farming with the Whimsicott and going for the Moonblast. This will be easily KOing this Virizion. I'm expecting, yep, it is going to be the Cresselia. Cresselia firing off the charge move here. I can tank one charge move. They go for the Future Sight, and that hurts. That is the difference in stat product right there between the Whimsicott and the Cresselia. That does so much damage. The Moonblast does add up, though. I'm farming up with the Whimsicott. I go for the Grass Knot, expecting they would throw one before the Moonblast, and I am correct. This is an incredibly useful CMP tie here, as now this is potentially in a range where I can Volt Switch it down with the Heliolisk. In comes the Heliolisk. Oh my goodness, in the back it's Greninja. This game looks winnable. I commit the shield. They go for the Night Slash. They do not get the boost, and I'm firing off the Breaking Swipe. I need to get some early debuffs here. Breaking Swipe will be shielded by my opponent. They're firing off the charge move. This is debuffed, so I am going to let this through. It is the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon will connect. Heliolisk can't quite get the farm down. Oh no. I'm going to be forced to burn the final shield. But the good news is I leave with a lot of energy. And Cresselia threw a move before they switched out. I'm firing off this Grass Knot. Grass Knot is going to be shielded by the Cresselia, and I make it to another Grass Knot. It looks like that might be the CMP tie, so this has to KO. Grass Knot does KO, and we win the game by a very narrow margin. We see a familiar lead in the next match. XL Whimsicott into Defense Deoxys. I'm farming up. Opponent doesn't go for the Psycho Boost this time. So this time, I decide to actually bank a Moonblast and send in the Ready Steel. Sending in Ready Steel into a counter user feels a bit counterintuitive, but in the Ultra League, Ready Steel actually has a pretty good matchup here, because the Zap Cannon can still come pretty close to two-shotting, and the non-stab moves from the Deoxys just do absolutely nothing to Ready Steel in the Ultra League. Zap Cannon, unfortunately, does not get the debuff. My opponent will fire off the Thunderbolt. I continue to farm with the Ready Steel. I go for the Zap Cannon, and my opponent makes a sensational catch, catching it onto the Obstagoon. I'm able to switch out at the last second into the Whimsicott and fire off the Moonblast. This will be KOing the Obstagoon and denying my opponent's energy. In the back, my opponent has a Shadow Wall Rain. I'm farming up and going for the Grass Knot. Grass Knot will hit for massive super effective damage, so Wall Rain is going to need to commit the shield. I continue to farm up with the Whimsicott. Very nice overfarm there by my opponent. They're going to be firing off the Icicle Spear. I will commit the shield. Honestly, Whimsicott is withstanding these Shadow Powder Snows surprisingly well. I'm going for another Grass Knot. Grass Knot will be shielded by my opponent. I continue to farm with the Whimsicott. And oh my goodness, I'm very close to a move here. I will commit the shield. I'm going to go for the Grass Knot, but my opponent gets the catch onto Deoxys. And with that, I lose the game. Unfortunately, I no longer have a win con. I send in the Heliolisk as I need to try and be able to outpace. I will get one Volt Switch in, but I need a Grass Knot to KO, and my opponent is going to make it to the Earthquake, and Earthquake will secure the KO, and I just don't have any HP, and I resign the match. Hopping to the final match, looking for redemption, and what a lead to do it in, leading Whimsicott into Swampert. I'm farming up with Whimsicott, and I'm firing off this Grass Knot. Grass Knot, of course, will easily one-shot. My opponent is going to commit the shield. They save switch into a Charizard, so they banked a ton of energy for later on the Swampert, and now I send in Heliolisk. Charizard will go for the bait. Honestly, a pretty smart idea to go for a bait going up against a Breaking Swipe user, as we love to shield the first move. I go for the Breaking Swipe, Charizard commits the shield. This is the Blast Burn, but it is a debuffed Blast Burn. I am able to withstand that damage, and I'm looking for the farm down here. I'm going to have to commit a shield, but I leave with the Grass Knot loaded, and I win CMP over Swampert. So if they send in the Swampert, they have so many Mudshots of energy, and they're going to lose all of it. Opponent thinking about it, they send in the Swampert, and goodbye to all of Swampert's energy. Grass Knot gets the one-shot in the back. It's a Venusaur, and I can just debuff. This is Whimsicott's nightmare Pokemon, by the way, the Venusaur. But I can just debuff their attack, send in the Registeel, and the opponent concedes the match. All in all, I had surprising success with the XL Whimsicott. Whimsicott, I was able to go, I believe, 7-5 in the 12 games that I played with it. And honestly, it performed surprisingly well for a Pokemon that's only about 2250 CP. It's definitely not a Pokemon that I would recommend if you're looking to gain Elo, but if you happen to have a lot of Stardust and happen to have those Whimsicott XLs, thanks to that event we had where Cottony was spawning everywhere, it is a really fun anti-meta pick. And as you can see, Whimsicott was able to catch quite a few Virizion and Dragonite off guard. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.